What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your girlfriend's favorite podcast, SEC Unleashed. I'm going to do something different every time. Appreciate everybody joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, man. We are trying to grow this channel.
Yes,
we need as much as we can. What's up, boys? By the way, this is the newest third member of our squad. This is Ty Hudson, my man. What's up, bro?
What's going on, boys?
Oh, we in here.
What's
We in
up?
here.
Yeah, we here. Ready to
John
go.
Haas beat us here.
Glad to
almost.
have you here so we can sound smarter.
Yeah, man. Now we're intelligent. It's not just two idiots; it's three.
So I raised. So what you're saying is I raised the IQ, the collective IQ, by about 4 points.
Perfect.
Right.
You're the Vanderbilt of this podcast.
Yeah, you're killing it. You're gonna beat somebody you shouldn't have.
Oh man,
John,
That's
we
it,
gotta
right
wait
there,
about
buddy.
5 minutes, and I'm with you. Ty's gonna say some bad words.
Don't let me say bad words.
Yeah. Say whatever you want, bro.
Not for the first 10 minutes, anyway.
Unleashed. We're trying to appease the algorithm, boys and girls.
I think we should have an intro contest for who can do the best deep voice intro for this show.
Yeah, Ty's got a pretty good. What is it? Megabots rollout. Like, Autobots and Megabots.
Yeah, it's
Megabots is Optimus Prime.
Megabots. Autobots roll out.
There
I can't
it
do
is.
the rollout part.
Rollout.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Roll
That's
out.
hilarious.
All right, they're here for college football. Man.
They're here to be entertained.
Yeah, hey, we
If can
changed
do
the
that-
layout a little
if
bit.
we can do that, then college football, it'll fit.
That's fair.
Speaking of entertainment, there was really important voting going on this week. You guys might have heard something about it. Some voting that would change the landscape of America. Some voting that was controversial. Some voting that has a whole lot of people unhappy and a whole lot of people really excited. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, either one. I am talking about the first playoff rankings.
Yes.
Travis, you want to
Yeah,
pull
we're
that
on it,
up
man.
there?
I'm actually.
What do you guys think about that?
I think that the possibility of more SEC teams getting in is hilarious. Because you got, the next four out, you got two more SEC teams right there. Yeah. Crazy to me that Tennessee is even in there, but I guess they did only lose to the Hogs. But man,
They're a
Bama's
7-1 team.
There's 7 in Arkansas.
Here's the question:
Who's
the most fraudulent of that bunch?
Out of everybody up there,
Everyone that's the 12 teams on the screen, not the next 4 out. Who's the most fraudulent of that bunch?
Well, I'm gonna say one thing for sure. There's a team that's made the 4-team playoff multiple times and gets slaughtered every time they do in Ohio State.
Fair.
But when you look at Penn State's schedule, when you look at Texas' schedule, you're talking about some marshmallow, Stay Puft Marshmallow, cloud-like, angel soft toilet tissue schedules. So, there's
We're talking
a
about
couple
Boise,
of
right?
potential frauds up there right now. Indiana. There's a handful of potential fraudulent. When BYU is leading the Big 12, but the Big 12 plays like the small 12, there's a whole lot of pretenders right now. I think this is going to change a lot over the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. What do you think, Ty?
Well, I got to agree with John Haas in chat. It's got to be Boise State, if I'm being real. Genty is a incredible back, but their only legitimate matchup, to be fair, it was close, but they went on the road and they lost to Oregon 37-34. However, not a single legitimate win on this schedule. Not a single one. I would say probably Boise State, but you again, like you guys already mentioned, you could probably pull up like everyone on this screen. I mean, Notre Dame. Who's their one loss to? Can you guys just off top of your head? Do you remember who that was?
I do not. Oh, I do. Oh, Northern Illinois, right?
That's
Oh, I
right.
think
Oh, that's
right.
a terrible
It was Northern
loss,
Illinois.
dude. That's
It
a
was an awful
terrible.
loss.
And then they lost to like Presbyterian Baptist Americas. Like the next week, it was so Pulaski Tech kicked their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
it's so bad.
But
Notre
to be
Dame has
fair,
that strong win over A&M though, so I think
Yeah.
they have that going for them.
they do.
Right.
They had that, and they did beat a feisty Georgia Tech, and they beat Navy. They crushed Navy, but I mean, man, it's we know it's a military school. Like they're not going to go toe to toe with the 4 and 5 star brigade that's Notre Dame, very well coached. So I think it's you guys are right. I think there are multiple teams. I kind of wonder about Indiana.
I wonder about Miami.
Yeah.
I know they're a good team, but
I'm-
there's been a couple of teams that have taken them to the brink and they're just giving them hell. So I wonder how long Miami can actually hang on, even though they're a 3 seed right now. I just don't. I think somebody's gonna get them. I need to pull the rest.
I was listening to the pregame. I was listening to the pregame shows Saturday, and they were saying Miami would win, but when it comes to the ACC championship, they think Clemson's going to take them.
I can see that.
I don't know that
Clemson-
that's my opinion. That's what they were saying on Saturday, though.
I
They
think
said Miami
Clemson's
will get all the
ramped
way to
up
the
'cause
ACC championship and get beat by Clemson.
Georgia put belts to asses at Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Miami, another school. Like who the hell have they beaten? They beat Duke.
They
But
beat Texas
Duke had already
A&M.
lost. Duke had already lost to
Not
SMU.
Texas A&M, LSU.
I'm actually trying to pull up Miami's schedule now, but the ACC loads really slow. So.
I'd say their best win. Their best win was probably on the road to Louisville in a game they won by 7 points.
Who am I thinking of? I thought they played. I thought they played.
I think it
thought
would be
they
so
played LSU,
intriguing to
Texas
see.
A&M. I guess it was Florida State.
If this stood, they've played Florida State, they've played Louisville, Cal,
They haven't
Virginia
played.
Tech.
They haven't really played anybody.
They
Not a ranked
murked
team
Florida.
on their schedule.
They really have. They beat Duke, but Duke almost. I think Duke gave them hell, if I'm not mistaken. For a little while. At least.
They did
God,
for a
dude.
little bit, but Miami ended up winning 53-31.
Dude, they might win out. Because
Yeah, the schedule's terrible.
George, they have Miami's remaining schedule is Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. Dude, they're probably gonna win out.
Maybe Georgia Tech could be feisty. I don't know if what's his name.
It's a lot of pretenders on that list right now.
Yeah.
I think I
a lot
thought
of
BYU was gonna lose a couple times with it. I'll tell you what though, if this bracket were to stand true, especially with 1 and 2, Oregon versus Georgia would be amazing because Dan Lanning came from Kirby Smart's staff anyway, so I think it would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude said it's Patrick said it's Penn State, but don't tell my wife.
Yeah. Penn State.
I feel that. Ohio State always loses the big one. They generally choke. They whiff on something. Heartbroken Hog said Miami will drop 1 because their defense is so bad. They keep squeezing out close games. They really do. Let's see if
Penn State hasn't played anybody either. They played Illinois, who was ranked, but Illinois spiraled. They're 6-3 already.
They barely beat USC. And USC's not good.
USC
They beat them
sucks this year.
33-30.
Yeah.
Poor
Well,
I
I think
think
didn't USC start this? USC started the year as a ranked team, and then they weren't who the rankers thought they were.
Yeah.
if
I think
remember
Bama ends
right.
up falling out. I think Bama's going to lose another one. I think Notre
SC
Dame
SC
possibly
beat
could.
LSU, and everybody thought they were something.
SC LSU.
Oh
mud
my
dogs.
God.
I remember that.
What a bizarre start, for the SEC. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, you had A&M dropping to Notre Dame. You had LSU losing to USC at a neutral site. Who was the other one? One more.
There was there was a few of them. The SEC actually, I believe had a pretty bad start.
Well, Florida dropped to Miami.
All right, so
I think they had higher hopes than
if this
anything,
bracket
but
were to kick
anyway.
off today, you think Tennessee would mop Indiana? Because I do.
Yes.
Who's
Probably,
Indiana played?
yeah.
I would literally have to search who they've. I don't even know what division, like what conference do they play? Big 12?
Well, they're Big Ten.
No, they're Big Ten.
Big 10. Oh, okay. Well, they're a
Yeah.
pretty good conference, then, I guess. There's that.
Again, though,
that's, I think debatable though.
Like they frog stomped Nebraska. I mean, they frog stomped them. I thought that'd be an interesting game, and Indiana beat them 56-7. But again, like not even a ranked opponent for them. They handled
Yeah.
Maryland. They handled Maryland 42-28. They end the year these last 3 games against Michigan on the 9th, at Ohio State. That'll probably be a loss, and then Purdue. And if I remember right, Purdue's doing really bad. Like they're really bad this year in the Big Ten. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Purdue's
They're
pretty
1-7,
trash.
0-5 in the Big Ten.
Well, let's.
I mean,
Oh, sorry.
There
I was
are,
gonna say let's
Mississippi
run down
State
some
the
of
Big
these
Ten.
some of these topics here. I think that playoff thing is going to completely flip the script. I think it's going to change, man. But it doesn't matter what Indiana does because Florida's keeping Billy Napier, baby. What is up? I didn't see this one coming, guys. I'm serious. 15-18 overall record for Florida, 8-13 in the SEC. He's like Diet Sam Pittman.
Well, I think the AD, if I read right, he asked for stability. He called for the fans to give stability. Honestly, if you look at Florida's schedule, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. They lost to the teams they weren't supposed to beat. They've lost the games against ranked opponents, and they're not ranked. They shouldn't have been favored, and I think he's taking a realistic look. Like, we're going to build the program, but we need another year. A case could be made for Sam Pittman in Arkansas that this extra year gave him a chance to build a potential bowl team. Maybe they're thinking the same thing for Napier. Maybe it's one more year, and next year your seat's a whole lot hotter if you have the same kind of record again. But really, if you look at their schedule, every time they played somebody who they weren't supposed to beat, they lost. Every time they played a cupcake, they won. They're 4-4, I think. So
Florida?
Yeah, I think they're 4-4, and
yeah, they're 4-4.
And the teams that they beat, they were supposed to. So he's done what he could with what he has, but I don't know that it lasts another year after next year. I think this is kind of the Sam Pittman. We'll give you one more year of stability. Hopefully that won't chase off our recruits. Hopefully you can put together a better team next year. And if not, I think he struggles to stay after that.
I think that's why Scott Strickland said that. I think he wanted to maintain the recruits they've already got. Right now, the Lagway injury killed them. The third-string kid from Harvard, though, actually came in and put in a little bit of work in that the game last week against Georgia. They scared Georgia, which is kind of made me go, all right. Maybe they are doing something. They beat Kentucky. They were close to Tennessee. It was 23-17. It's not a bad game. They smoked UCF, Mississippi State, lost by 13 to Texas A&M. I think Billy's making progress, but with the way that Florida operates, it makes me just go, I'm surprised he's not fired yet.
Yeah.
Nothing, Ty?
Don't tell Courtney Mims that. Don't tell Courtney Mims that in our Discord.
Courtney Mims is going to burn the building down.
I don't know what approach Florida should take. I think some of this has to do with revenue sharing. You know, it's about to change. Football, the landscape of college football is about to change. These schools are going to have to pay these players. And that's the case being made for Sam at Arkansas. You know, like, and I think later we're going to talk a little bit about that On3 article. But, of course, I still haven't read the thing. I don't know if Tim got a chance to read that in really quick. But the basis
did you get past
was
that
that
paywall,
Sam –
bro?
Yeah, I mean the basics of what it was saying was his seat's not super hot right now because Louisiana Tech's on the schedule. It's an expected win. It makes them a bowl eligible team. And so they say just getting bowl eligible pretty much secures him another year. I don't know if I love that, but we'll see. Again, it comes down to what's consistent. If the players want the consistency of having Sam, if Bobby Petrino's offense can figure out the red zone on either side, and make Arkansas a little more successful. He made us the number 2 offense, or made Arkansas the number 2 offense in the nation, but not the nation, in the conference, but the scoring offense is like 10th, because once they get inside the red zone, they can't score. So he's going to have to fix that, or I don't know. Giving Sam another year and giving Bobby another year is the right thing to do.
I think the only way they would keep Sam is to keep Bobby, and T will probably at that point. I mean, we got to figure out that secondary, but good Lord. But I'm banking on Sam Pittman retiring more than anything. I know that hip's whooping him. I mean, yeah, maybe a surgery could fix it, but who the hell knows? Because last year we all thought he was gone. Like that last press conference of the year before the Missouri game, everybody was like, "Oh, here his ass is gone." We were all watching it, and then he came out and he's like, "I ain't going nowhere," and we were like, "Oh shit," yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think, Arkansas expert?
I think I heard Travis say I heard Sam's got something on Hunter or something.
Yeah, really.
He's definitely got some pictures.
So I mean, it's saying something that he's back, right? I mean that Hunter didn't fire him last year, and a lot I don't want to say rhetoric, but a lot of the things that were said by some people in Tuss Talk Discord, in the Discord and on Twitter, was that, well, you can't fire a guy after just 4 years, and this was a blip on the radar. And it's, my thing was, okay, but he's trending in a bad direction here. I mean, this is, it's year 4, but he just won one SEC game. I mean, you realize you take that Florida game away, that's Chad Morris level bad. Yeah. Although the product is a little bit better on defense compared to what Chad had for a year and, whatever games, 9 games. But to go 0-8 in SEC play, and your only win was against, of course, the garbage Florida Gators. So, like,
and it
I don't know
close.
if I'm
like, they barely beat them.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we transitioned into talking about Pittman here, this year is not a whole lot different. You do have a signature Tennessee win, but really you have wins against the garbage Bulldogs, the garbage Tigers. I mean, it's not a wildly different scenario, minus that fluke of a Tennessee game, which I think we've seen it's a fluke based on not being able to pull it off against other teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can call me wrong if you want to, but they're just not there. They're not there. And I'm a little surprised that I'm not surprised that they're bowl eligible. He keeps his job. I think that everybody kind of had that understanding going into the season, but I don't know that I agree that it's the right thing to do. But who would you replace him with? I don't know. So maybe it is. Maybe it is the right thing to do.
What was that, Tim?
Who you gonna get? We got to make you T-shirts for that, man.
And other people are leaving that in comment sections on other shows. I've noticed that. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be one of those things that started on my show. And once again, I'm not going to get any damn recognition. Know where that started, man. We started that on Tuss Talk with Ty in the post-game show. Who you going to fucking get?
It's like Game Companions, It's like,
is anybody going to acknowledge that Captain America said fucking?
Started that? All right, John, we're past the fucking threshold. Let's go, baby.
But to transition that back to Napier, I think it's I understand playing the long game. That's what Hunter's doing at Arkansas. But again, I think this has to do with some of the revenue sharing stuff. I think schools are a little nervous to make big changes. And we may not see – well, I don't know. That could go either way. I was going to say we may not see as many early firings, but then again, we might because, they want to go get someone who's a little bit more potent in the NIL department who could help with that and maybe a little bit younger and hip and kind of knows this revenue sharing stuff. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit more curious if you don't start to see colleges because we're already heading towards that NFL, that type of – I mean, let's just be real. This is mini or it's the minor league NFL or minor NFL league, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder how many of these athletic departments don't start to try to hire – quality control people from the NFL in the financial departments. You know what I mean? This is about to change the landscape of college football, and you're going to want to mirror what the NFL's doing. Contracts are coming. Short-term deals are coming. You're going to see 1 year, 2 year, maybe 3 years, short-term deals. What do those look like? So I think there's all this shifting, and some schools are just nervous. And by the way, you mentioned, Florida's recruiting, and they don't want to lose that. Do you guys know what their recruiting rank is right now?
No, what is it?
It's 59th.
Ooh, shit.
It's 59th in the country. Now, to be fair, they've only got 12.
They're broke.
They've only got 12 commitments. To be fair, Arkansas's got 21 or whatever, but that's not a good sign. They've swung and missed on several players in state around their area. They're not real thrilled about it. They've got a handful of 4 stars. And for Florida, that's just what the hell, right? But you remember, that's what Dan Mullins was getting hit with. You remember that?
Yeah,
Dan Mullins
didn't lose like this,
No. But I'm saying that was part of the problem his last year when he had that bad last year. He made that comment kind of about recruiting, and it pissed Florida fans off. And then he struggled recruiting. And here you have another coach who, don't get me wrong, had a really good 24 class. But the 25 class right now, according to Rivals, is 59th in the country with 12 commitments. So I don't know, man. Florida's in rough shape, and the fact that they're keeping the guy around responsible for it, because at the end of the day, we do the same thing here. I'm not trying to transition it back to Sam Pittman, but fans keep moving the goalposts for Pittman. They keep doing it, and it hasn't been until recently I'm starting to see more people who were once, no, we got to keep Sam, forest for the trees, John Hawes. We got to keep him. Now we're seeing the guy write in chat, we got to move on. We've been saying that. And 5 wins, by the way, it's not going to happen. They're going to win 6. 5 wins, he would have been gone. I think he would have been gone. I stand by that. He would have been out. But it's weird how now it's 6, he's fine. Why is that where you draw the line in the sand for Arkansas? I don't know. But I don't know why Florida's sticking with Billy Napier.
6-6, 7-5, best case scenario at the front of the year. I think he needs the 7, man. I really do. Just because, dude, Cook's hurt. I don't even know if he makes it to the damn game against us. If Cook's out and they got Payne in or Pine or whatever the hell his name, you better beat the shit out of them. There's zero excuse to lose. I don't give a shit if it's Columbia or not. You know what I mean?
They got clobbered against.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they got clobbered against Alabama, but I mean, that is what it is.
Oh shit! John Hall said Cook's practicing and playing against Oklahoma. We'll see how that ankle holds up at the end of the year, man. Real quick before we leave, did you see, before we leave this topic, do you know what the rest of Florida's schedule is?
I had it up. I don't know.
They're playing Texas this week, LSU the next week, Ole Miss the next week, and then Florida State.
We talked about that last week, that they may lose out.
That
4 wins might be their season.
Oh my God!
That's
Could you imagine? They should beat Florida State. I mean, Florida State's pretty bad.
Dude, just eat the dog shit, bro. Oh my God! Florida State's that's rough. You know what, man? Did you guys watch the South Carolina game last week? That was crazy. I was at a Halloween party, drunk as shit, and I was watching this, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm sitting here rooting for South Carolina. I don't even like South Carolina. They stole one of our wide receivers, coach. They stole our old running back. They can have Dow Loggins. We don't need him. But I was low key rooting for South Carolina. It was interesting, but for them to whoop their ass like that, the Aggies, I was like, what the hell is going on? 530 yards of offense. You got to be kidding me, man. On a defense,
they're a
that
weird
we thought,
team.
Yeah,
Isn't that their calling card? Inconsistency week in, week out.
but what if Sellers
They can
hadn't
be a
got hurt against
garbage team, or
LSU?
they can be a garbage team. They can be on fire.
Yeah, man, Shane Beamer is a weird cat to me, but he's getting the shit done. You know, he's getting it done.
Well, what do you mean he's getting it done?
Well, he just won hard. He ain't
I
getting
wanna
it
hear-
done.
I want to hear
All right,
this.
hold on. That was tough.
He did beat. I'll give him.
Getting it done.
I'll give him that he beat A&M at home. I'll give him that, and they took care of business against A&M. But it was very clear that A&M in the fourth quarter was done. I mean, they were done, and South Carolina was just piling it on. Realistically, that's probably like it's probably a 30-20 game, 30 maybe 34-20. But then you could just tell at the end of that game, like A&M was just wanting to get out of there. I think that is one of those games where like you replay it again, maybe 10 times. Who wins the most out of 10 matchups? I would say A&M, despite how ugly that game was for them. I think that was one of those things where one thing led to another, silly penalties at key moments. It just got out of hand, similar to what happened with Arkansas and Ole Miss. Yeah, Ole Miss wins that game a lot out of 10, but Arkansas just they could not, and again, we're not trying to pull this back, but that's what we can relate to the easiest.
Show me a bad loss on South Carolina's schedule. They lost to LSU, Ole Miss, and Bama.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not good.
Same Bama as always, but those are not terrible losses in my opinion. I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs or anything crazy. I'm really curious to see when they play Vandy, because they got Vandy, Mizzou, Wofford, and Clemson left. They got some games left. I think the Vandy game is going to be hell. I think the Mizzou game could be with Cook. Mizzou could be hell. And Clemson's.
It's at home though.
Mm-hmm.
It's at home.
They do have a crazy environment, man.
It's tough to beat them there. They have just the one loss, which was to Ole Miss, 27-3, which that one could have gotten a lot more out of hand.
I don't like Ole Miss.
Yeah, they have their toughest. They got at Vandy. Like, that's the question. Who's the rougher game for them, at Vandy or at home against Mizzou? That's tough.
I mean, I'm saying at Vandy.
Vandy's giving people hell at home this year, man. As soon as Nick Saban was like, "Oh, like the best place to play is Vandy," they start whooping ass in there.
Well, yeah, no, but this is at Vandy, but Missouri's at home, and then they got to play Clemson. That's a neutral site game, right? Am I tripping?
I'm not sure.
No, I guess it is in Clemson. I don't know why I thought that was a neutral site.
I guess they alternate. Yeah, it's at Memorial Stadium. I don't know, man. It's crazy that Rocket's so fat and he's still good.
He's lost weight.
Did he lose a little bit
back
there?
down. He's back.
Where's he at now?
Yeah, I think he's down to like 225.
He's looking
Okay,
trimmer.
well, that's good.
He looks healthy like he did in 21.
I don't know why we would. I don't know why we would look at South Carolina any differently than we would look at. And again, we take this back to Arkansas because that's who we're comfortable with. That's who we know the best.
We're homers.
I don't know why
Kiss
we would
my
look at
ass.
their. Well, no, I'm saying I don't know why we would look at their 2-point loss and their 3-point loss as anything other than you didn't get it done, because that's how it is with Arkansas. When you never win the game that matters, South Carolina never wins the game that matters, except they beat Texas A&M. It doesn't matter if it's 2 points, 3 points, 40 points. They don't win the games that matter, except for Texas A&M. So that was a good hurdle for them. The question is, can they carry that on forward? And I think that Vanderbilt will actually be a good test for them at Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt will give them a hell of a game, and I actually think Vanderbilt's probably going to win that game. Ultimately, it just seems to be a weird year for Vanderbilt, where they were like, "We're tired of being the smart guys."
It's a weird year for the SEC because there's parity. There's so much parity in the SEC where it's almost like every week anyone could beat anyone for the majority of it.
Absolutely.
There's a few elite teams in the SEC for sure, but I think the parity is it's badass to watch because it's more NFL to the point to where it's like I don't know who the hell's gonna win. Whereas for years college football has been like, oh, they're gonna get their ass kicked today. Or so on and so forth. Like, there's been games like that. The Tennessee, Arkansas, the South Carolina A&M, the Vandy, Bama. There's several games this year where you're like, holy shit, what is going on?
Texas.
Vandy, Texas. Yeah, Vandy was trying. I mean, they were at Vandy. Like I said, they're pretty tough to beat at home right now.
Yeah.
So it's speaking of elite teams, man. I'm gonna go into this Ole Miss. They beat the shit out of Arkansas, and I was upset. What do you think, Timmy? It was Jackson Dart. Dude, this dude went 28 of 34 for 562 damn yards. Come on, bro.
Now, what's funny is we talked about this last week, and I said Jackson Dart is like the model of consistency in the SEC for quarterbacks. And he did something like out of his mind. Instead of just being his consistent 270, 320-yard game, he destroyed us. But I think to Ty's point, our guys kind of were done. Arkansas was done by the third quarter easily. It's weird that Lane Kiffin left him in. It's like he wants to create bad blood. Lane Kiffin so bad wants to be a rivalry, and Arkansas doesn't want Missouri for a rivalry. Nobody knows why we have that. And Lane Kiffin's going, please, I'll be their rival. Please, I'm gonna run the score up, and I'm gonna leave my starting quarterback in when I'm blowing them out. Just please, somebody make us relevant. So. I think it was. He was being a dick. If you think about it, like who is his rivalry? His rivalry is Mississippi State, which is the absolute worst team in SEC football.
I would accept that rivalry.
I think he wants a rivalry that matters, with a fan base that cares. And Arkansas fans, whether we're having a good season or a bad season, we care about rivalries. And so I don't know why else he would want to create bad blood like he tried to do in that game. But Arkansas was done in the third quarter. And Ole Miss was clearly the better team on that day. That's my thoughts.
I feel like 9 out of 9 times we'd have lost that game. What do you think? What do you think, Ty?
They're the best team on any day versus Arkansas. If you want my opinion, they're Arkansas's just. I mean, listen, this is what I talked about, and I've mentioned it a lot. Some people get mad when I do, but I don't care. That what you watched was NIL in motion. That was what NIL can do for your team. You could build up a roster like that. Of course, Sam caught some hell for what he said about the Louis Vuitton, those comments. But in a way, he's right. By the way, he mentioned the blue light special. That's not even a thing anymore because Kmart doesn't exist.
Kmart, yeah.
Neither is our offensive line a thing anymore. So,
well, if that's what he meant, then damn, he really towards that offensive line. They're not good.
Kicked himself in the ass with that, didn't he?
Say what?
I said Sam really kicked himself in the ass with that statement, didn't he?
Well, it doesn't look good. It kind of, funny enough, though, it's like he makes that comment and then they go on to sack your quarterback umpteen times. Like, yeah,
8 times,
all right. It was a lot. It was too many pressures. Malachi came in and you know what?
Played well. He created quarterback controversy for next year.
Yeah,
I got
he created
some fans will tell you what's happening right now. I say it's if Green stumbles and has a really bad game, we could have a conversation about what happens there moving forward. But yeah, I think this is a conversation for the offseason if we're talking about a battle. And yeah, they're not gonna move off from Green during the season right now unless, again, he goes up. Let's say Louisiana Tech, he plays like shit, and or Texas. I'm sorry, Texas, he plays like shit. Okay, that's kind of excusable. But then Louisiana Tech, he does it again, and you're struggling against a Louisiana Tech team you have no business struggling to. Maybe we would have a conversation, but I don't think so. I think that this is Green's show, and it's all for off season. Now the question is, for Arkansas, the rhetoric is if Pittman comes back, which it looks like he probably will with that 6th win, and you keep Bobby and you keep Green, we know where this is headed. What does that mean for Malachi? Does Malachi hit the portal and say, to hell with this? Or does he stick it out again?
I kind of think he does hit the portal, and I kind of think it's a mistake because what we've seen is Taylon Green's no KJ Jefferson when it comes to taking hits. He gets hurt. Singleton's going to get a shot. To leave, I think it would be a bad decision. But I do think, like, based on some things that were said at the beginning of this season or prior to this season about him leaving, I think that's on his mind. If I'm not going to get to start, I'm going to go. But I don't think necessarily leaving would be good for him. So I think he's going to get a shot, and he already knows the offense where he has to go somewhere else and learn somebody else's, language, lingo, their plays. Why take yourself out of something when the quarterback that's ahead of you gets hurt and gets hurt fairly frequently?
I think personally, if they're going to do Singleton, I think if they're going to do Singleton, they're going to do him this week because they have a bye week. I think this would be the time. I don't think they're going to do it, but I think this would be the only smart time for them to do it because they have 2 weeks to prep the kid.
I wouldn't even give him a notion of it for the rest of this season.
Yeah.
I would just. It can be like Ty said, an off-season situation. Like, you have a legitimate shot at this based on the way you played during the season when you got your chances. You have a legitimate chance in the off-season to earn number 1. Is what I would tell him.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it'd be a mistake at this point again, unless just something catastrophic, like he's just way off, throwing picks, turning the ball over a whole bunch, 4 or 5 times. Just looks bad. Carries that into far worse than normal for him, and then carries that into the next game. Then maybe, but even then, I think it's just, again, the attitude for Arkansas is just get to 6 now. Apparently, I guess that's the attitude.
Insane to me, it's like, where the fuck did that come from? To where he's like, oh, it's hard. We're just gonna get to 6, okay? Like, we can get to 6 and get out of here and get my hip surgery. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Win one for the Gipper so he can stay.
I mean,
win one for the Gipper.
Hey, man, you want to talk about some picks? Somebody who shouldn't get them? Let's talk about Georgia. Carson Beck, 3 picks last week. The kid went 25 of 40, dude. You ain't going to win a championship shit like that.
Hold on. Carson Beck, who's averaging 2 picks a game, and they're a 1-loss team. They're so talented, he can turn the ball over, and they're not going to just lose. They won by double digits on 3 picks. Name another team in the country that can throw 3 picks and win by double digits. There's so much talent on Georgia. They could have a JV squad and still compete in the SEC.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's terrible. Georgia is incredibly equipped with just 5 stars. When you can be that bad and everyone can save your ass, that's a good team. That's the polar opposite of what Arkansas is dealing with right now, to where we're not good enough to get picks like that. Well, Georgia is. I still just don't think you're gonna win any kind of championship throwing like that. That kid's got to get it together, especially with the players he's got around him. I mean,
Well, you know
I would
what's
ask you which team in that playoff bracket is talented enough to handle Georgia? Oregon? You think Oregon's talented enough?
I think Oregon's the
Who does
only one that's got it. Oregon, and
Oregon
Ohio
play?
State. I'd have to look up their schedule. This is an SEC show, sir. No, I think Oregon and Ohio State are probably the most evenly matched talent-wise to a Georgia.
And Ohio
other than
State
Alabama.
chokes regularly.
They do, but I just mean I'm talking about on a talent level. I think that they're pretty damn close.
Maybe.
Wait, what do you think, Ty?
Oregon's like one of those teams. They're regular season heroes. Like
That's
a lot.
reasonable.
Ohio State. Like Ohio State.
Yeah, fair. But I mean, if we're talking about, you asked about Georgia, comparing head to head to Georgia, I would take Georgia. I'm not saying that that's always the case, and to be fair, Oregon has. It's not like they haven't won in the postseason, but I don't know. They always have kind of struck me as a team that, when they go up against an SEC opponent, they just struggle, and they do have talent. I don't know. There's something different about when an SEC school has talent, and Oregon
Georgia's
has
like
just.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I like George is like that guy who puts the egg there and is like built different.
Oh, built different. Oh man, it's like that guy, but if he did steroids, that's Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ty, I didn't mean to cut
I
you
miss
off. You were in
divisions.
mid-thought.
I miss divisions.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, but I don't know. Oregon, they have won their last 2 bowl games, to be fair, and they've only played. It's not like they play SEC teams all the time, but they strike me as a team that once they play someone in a meaningful game, they just don't have it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this year I liked it when Bo Nix went there to Oregon. I thought that was fun.
You want to talk about some NIL money? Who's got more NIL money than Oregon? Phil Knight
Oh, my
went to
God.
Oregon. Holy shit, that guy's rich. He invented Nike. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Did he go to Oregon, or does he just give money to Oregon?
He went to Oregon.
He went to Oregon and he gives money to Oregon.
He
I know
In
he
a
gives
way that
money.
you
I
would
just-
think the Waltons would give money to Arkansas.
I
The
realized he
Waltons
went there.
are-
I just didn't know if. I guess he did. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I thought he went to Stanford only. I knew he gave money to Oregon because he's from Portland, which made sense that he would give money to Oregon. I forget that he went to school. Yeah, he got his master's at Stanford.
Okay, I was say you're making me doubt myself now. I've always heard Phil Knight was from Oregon.
Yeah, no, he got his bachelor's from Oregon. But you get people who didn't go to school at a particular school, but they still give money to the school because they're from there.
Yeah.
So Phil Knight gives them lots and lots of money. Did you watch? Not to get too far off topic, did you see the Ben Affleck movie about Nike
Air.
and Jordan?
No,
Air.
I've been wanting to watch that though. Air, yeah.
Well, they don't. Phil Knight. He makes Phil
badass.
Knight look like a jackass. Poor guy.
Why?
Poor guy. I don't know. Just kind of seems a little disconnected.
He's like, it just does.
He was the one. I only saw the trailer, but he was the one in the trailer who was like, "We make running shoes." And
Yeah.
the other guy, and I guess the guy playing Tinker was like, "Yeah, but basketball. You put a basketball shoe on these kids' feet, you'll make millions or whatever."
Yeah.
So
It was corny.
We're
I
gonna
don't
go
think
ahead
it's
and
a
get
good
into the speaking of divisions earlier. I was like, oh, I miss divisions. I do. We'll go back into the East with Vandy, man. Oh, Pavia. Pavia had a shitty game last week. I was surprised because I didn't watch it. I actually caught the highlights, but he threw 9 of 22, man. But they did become bowl eligible. Better than I could say about our team. But for Vandy, it was such a weird turnaround. Just like all of a sudden, Vandy was awesome, and it's like, what the hell is going on? But they got a murderer's row coming up I'm very curious what you guys' thoughts are on how Vandy is going to fare the rest of the season.
They don't win again.
Really? Yeah, they got South Carolina, LSU, and Tennessee left. I could see
The
that.
only reason they don't win again is because they play LSU at Death Valley. And actually, I think they beat.
Oh, it's going to be
I
at
think
night.
They beat South Carolina, so they do win again.
I don't think they do beat South
I don't
Carolina.
think they can beat South Carolina, man.
That is the game for me that's like a toss up. And maybe kind of Tennessee because Nico has been exposed a couple of times this year, and Vandy on defense at times can confuse these quarterbacks and create turnovers. But I just don't think Vandy wins again. I hope I'm wrong because I'm rooting for them. I'm loving watching them play, but I don't think they win again. I think South Carolina's gonna.
I feel like
It's South Carolina at home, who we just sat here and talked about how difficult they are to beat at home.
Well, they're playing at Vandy, though. That game's at Vandy, dude. It's South Carolina at Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
Shit,
yeah.
my bad.
Playing
I
at Death
think-
Valley
I
is
think-
going to be rough.
You know what happens? You know what happens with teams a lot. You lose a game that you could have won, and that loss beats you again the next game.
Oh,
Or
yeah, trickle.
You win a really big game, and you get on this high, and you come into the next game feeling invincible, and you get smoked. I honest to God feel like South Carolina's coming off a big Texas A&M win, and Vanderbilt is, I mean, they're legitimate this year. And I think people still to this day, I mean, if you look at it, Vanderbilt's not even in the 25. They're not in the top 25 teams for the playoff, but Missouri is. But
I think that's
Vanderbilt played
ridiculous,
Texas within like
by the
two.
way.
They beat Alabama. They let me take a look at their schedule real quick so I don't misspeak what they did here.
I think it is criminal that Vandy is not ranked.
They lost to Texas by 3. They lost to Missouri by 3, and they beat Alabama, and they're not anywhere near that top 25.
That's crazy. Crazy to me. That's
So-
bullshit. I'm just saying. What do you think, bro? That's crazy.
Georgia State wasn't a. You're talking about Vandy, right?
Yeah, talking about Vandy.
That's not being
Yeah.
ranked. Did they lose to Georgia State?
Yeah.
They lost to Georgia State.
Oh.
That's 100% fair, but
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's 100%
Yeah.
fair.
The schedule
But
in
I
front
think
of
that
me.
they're a legitimate contender as much as Missouri is.
God, that's a bad loss, dude. That's tough. Never. You know what? Withdrawn. And they lost to Missouri.
Yeah. I mean, you
Y'all
can't have
deserve
three.
that shit. Never mind.
You can't have 3 losses at this point with one of them
No,
being to Georgia State.
I don't expect them to be in the 12. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you look in the 12 is already questionable with pretenders. If you look in
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah,
25, the top 25 in that, it's even more loaded. And nobody's looking at Missouri at number 24 and going, man, they really belong there. Nobody's looking at them that way.
But let's be fair though. We're really hyping Vandy up because of what?
Because of who they are.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Because they're playing really well right now.
They're
just
playing
think
really
it's-
well. Right, hang on. They're playing really well, but their only really solid win is against Alabama, who's not the same Alabama, and they beat them by 5 points at home. So, like, I agree with you guys. Vanderbilt is a criminally underrated team. I wouldn't put them in the top 25, but I think they could be. I mean, but I don't think they win another game because they still are lacking in talent in a lot of places. You know, I mean, they are still Vanderbilt in a lot of places, and
They're gonna
but
beat
they could
South
upset
Carolina, Ty.
what?
They're gonna beat South Carolina, and they're gonna
No,
lose
I-
to LSU the same way they lost to Texas and Missouri, real close, and should have won. That's
You have
how
a
that's
lot
gonna
of
go.
faith in Vandy.
It might, but I'm not saying they can't win out. I'm just saying I don't think they. Or I'm sorry,
don't
I'm
think
not.
they'll win
I'm
out.
Lose out, yeah.
right. I'm not saying that they won't for sure not get another win. I just think that a lot of people have – and, again, I like Pavia. I love that offense. They're fun to watch. They're gritty. They win games the way you used to back in the day. They just fight their asses off. They're playing well above their talent level, and Pavia is, again, I think he's one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC, if you want my opinion. And the fact that he's doing it with an underrated group of guys that are, you're not chock full of All-Americans. You're not chock full of even all-conference guys. The fact that he's doing that, I love it. I hope they win out. I just don't think they do. South Carolina, LSU, and Tennessee, way more talent than these guys have. The good news is, they've got South Carolina at home, but they do got to go to Death Valley, and they've got Tennessee, who, damn, Tennessee's good. So I don't know, man. I mean, based on what I've seen, they have to grit their way out of these games, and I think it'll, you have to start to concern yourself a little bit with the fatigue. Can they carry what momentum they have? And by the way, they beat Auburn by 10 points. They beat Auburn, a really bad Auburn team, by 10 points, 17-7.
That's crazy.
Well, but Auburn, explain Auburn. It's not a lack of talent. Auburn's a talented team, just like these other teams. Just like South Carolina's a talented team. So you beat them by 10. That's a handy win.
I mean, it's time to put your money where your damn mouth is. Let's get in these predictions. Everybody's talking about this. Vandy and
wait, I picked Vandy in this one, didn't I?
South Carolina, Vandy, man. Okay, look, we're gonna start.
Did I pick Vandy
time.
in this?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
I think I picked Vandy to win this.
11 o'clock on ABC. Florida versus Texas. Texas is a 21.5-point favorite. Holy shit, boys. I think, you know what? I'm going to start with Tim, actually. Tim, what do you think, bud?
Which one?
Who?
Florida, Texas?
Florida versus Texas.
Oh, God.
Texas is going to destroy Florida. I already said Florida's not winning another game this year.
Destroy them?
Florida's 4-win season is done.
You think they're going to
Sorry,
destroy
Florida.
them?
I have less confidence in you than I have in Vanderbilt, and that should say something, and you kept Billy Napier. But, yeah, you're
Y'all might as well have given him a contract extension at this point. I also am choosing the Longhorns. I think this is going to be an ass whoop, dude. I think Florida had their moment last week against Georgia, and I think they're going to come in nice and let down this week. I did not write down actual score predictions, but I'm going Texas. Where you at, Ty?
Florida for the upset. No, I'm just kidding. Texas should take care. Didn't you ask us? Didn't you ask us who our for our picks earlier?
I did.
It's
an unveiling.
He doesn't want to
dog.
reveal it. This is a reveal.
Yeah, we got to talk.
Oh, so then why are you asking us again?
Because I don't remember them, but you're explaining to the people why you're picking your team.
Well, I mean, I understand that. Sorry. I figured you would throw the prediction up on the screen and then ask us why we made that pick.
Oh no! I let you explain it and then I unveil it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I let you go through the game and then boom. Wow!
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Ty. That's great. Actually, we're gonna jump Georgia and Ole Miss because that is our game of the week. We are gonna go to South Carolina, Vandy. Ty, where you at? Not Ty. I'm sorry, Timmy. Where you at?
Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt beats South Carolina at home.
I think you're insane.
That's okay.
I am going South Carolina. I think South Carolina's coming off a lot of momentum from last week, man. I think they're gonna put in work. They're at Vandy, 3:15 on the SEC network. South Carolina's a 3.5 point favorite. I'm like 8 beers in. Sorry.
The emotional letdown.
There's no letdown. They
Texas
won.
A&M. No, like you get on this high, and then you have to come off of this high. The coming off of that emotional win with Texas A&M beats them.
You think they're going to Arkansas off of Tennessee?
Yep, off Tennessee. Absolutely. That's what happened.
Ty, where you at, buddy?
I don't remember who I picked, but I feel like I want to say I picked South Carolina.
And you picked Vandy.
I did. I don't remember.
Do you want me to move it for you?
Yeah, move it over.
He does.
Oh, Ty's joining the winning team over here. South Kakalaki, baby.
South
Beamer
Kakalaki.
ball. What's up?
I guess we'll see.
Can't stand that little turd.
Beamer?
I can't
Hey,
stand
man,
that dude.
If you could beat people with special teams like every game, he'd probably be a
I don't-
badass. But like I said earlier,
Les Miles.
they have 3 quality losses. That's fair, actually, Tim. We were just talking about him earlier. I think if you could, or I'm sorry, you confused me. I think they have 3 their 3 losses are not that bad of losses because they're teams they really should have lost to. I still got faith in them, man. Moving on. I think we all know the answer here. Mississippi State, Tennessee.
Tennessee, there's no worse team in football than Mississippi State.
They're so bad. They made us. Dude, Arkansas made them look like UAPB. It was tough.
That's saying something, right?
It is. It is saying
that's
something. I'm going
bad.
Tennessee, man. Ty, I'm going to assume. Do we have any Mississippi State faith at all?
That was an Arkansas scrimmaging Fayetteville High School for fun.
It was bad. Their defense is trash. Their offense is figuring it out, but their defense is so bad.
Yeah, they're
So
bad.
you're taking Mississippi State, right?
100%.
Sounds about right.
Oh,
Did you say it sounds about right? Why would that sound about right?
I'm
Here's
just
a-
messing with you, dude.
Here's a real good. This game was almost game of the week. I'm not gonna lie to you. Alabama at LSU.
Yeah.
6:30. They're playing in Death Valley at night. 6:30 on ABC. Bama, how is a 2.5 point favorite? I don't even get that. Timmy, where you at?
I think I chose LSU. I'm kind of on the fence on this one, but I think I chose LSU because it's Death Valley.
That's fair. At night. You chose LSU. I also chose LSU because Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly is the greatest football coach you could have in the national championship, guys.
Hey, man. I'm just saying he's closer than Arkansas is right now. Ty, what are you thinking, man? Alabama, LSU.
I think I picked LSU. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm
Did.
pretty sure it's LSU. Yeah.
Why'd you pick LSU, man? Death Valley at night? You believe in it?
Yeah, well, Death Valley, and they might have, one of the top 3 quarterbacks. Wide receivers are just on another level good. They just kind of have it all pieced together right now. Alabama's still figuring some things out. LSU does have some weird losses or games that I didn't think would turn out the way that they did. USC, even though it was a season starter, it just still blows my mind that they lost that game. And then the way they played against Texas A&M, I just thought I don't know. I thought they'd play better than that. I think they lost. It was like 37 to
23.
yeah.
38,
it was just not what I thought LSU would do. And then we were thinking at that time, like, okay, A&M is legit then. And then they lose, the way that they do. So, I'll take LSU, but, man, that's a tough one.
Man, I don't think it's that tough because here's my thoughts on this game. Number 1, it's a Death Valley at night. Number 2, Alabama's defense is not what it has been. And number 3, LSU's offense is fucking awesome. So
It's good, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Garrett Nussmeier has very good composure. The kid's accurate as shit. I don't see them losing to Bama. And that's awesome to say because I have a long-standing hate relationship with Alabama.
One of the
I am. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What do you got, bro?
I was gonna say
We brought you here to say the smart stuff. So.
well, I'm running on like 5 hours of sleep, and
That's what she said.
I am that I'm running on 5 hours of sleep. That's what she said.
That is what she said.
Oh, LSU's run game is garbage. Like that's my thing. Like I do agree LSU's offense is good, but their almost 40th in the country in scoring offense. Like Nussmeier, like I said, the weapons they have, they're good, but they've struggled finishing off drives. They're not balanced. They throw the ball incredibly well. They average like 325, 330 yards a game, but they're not scoring a ton of points. They're not I don't know. I just kind of thought a little – don't get me wrong. The way they looked against Ole Miss, kind of finding ways to win that game, I thought it was great because it kind of looked like Ole Miss might have a shot there, and they ended up – LSU won that game by 3 points, but then they took care of Arkansas the next week, 34-10, and they turn around. They just, I don't know, that performance against A&M really just, I don't know, kind of took a shit on everything. I really thought LSU might run the table there, and now it's like I don't know if they can beat Alabama. Vanderbilt will be an interesting game. They've got to go to the Swamp for Florida. We'll see what happens there. I'm not as big on their offense as everybody else is. And it starts with their run game. It's awful. I think they're still ranked in the hundreds.
Are you switching to Bama?
No, I'm sticking with LSU because Garrett Nussmeier and because of the options they have on offense. And they still could win out. And to be honest with you, they very well might win out. You know, I think, it's at the Swamp. It's Vanderbilt and then Oklahoma.
Close. What are they? They're third out on playoffs right now. So it could happen. I don't know, man. The LSU's definitely gonna have to keep it up, but I think Bama is still Bama as far as a brand. I still think if they beat Bama, I think it's gonna propel them. Well, hell yeah, think about it. Like Bama's number 11 right now.
Yep.
So you get you get a shot at number 11 and you beat them. They could jump them easily.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing about this playoff bracket. Actually, we were just talking, and earlier you said, there's 3 more teams that could slide their way up in there, but really they play each other. So, LSU gets in, Alabama takes another loss. Does that next loss pop them out? Do they become one of the next 4 out? It's not likely that the SEC probably gets more than 4 teams because these teams are actually battling each other at the end of the season. So
that's normal SEC shit. It's cannibalization, every year.
Yeah.
It's the portal. I mean, it finally caught up to the SEC. I think we've seen that the last couple of years. The portal it caught up to them. And I said that 4 years ago. I said I don't think this is going to be a situation where the SEC just pulls away. I don't. Because I think you're going to get a lot. You think about the amount of talent the SEC was stockpiling for years, right? And, of course, you only get 4. You only get 4 years as a player. So no one wants to go to – I mean, Georgia has 2s and 3s. Hell, Arkansas got 2 of them. Just the last couple of recruiting classes, Xavion Sorey and number 15, Singleton or Singletary.
Burned in the secondary.
Yeah, Drew Sanders from Alabama, right? Landon Jackson from LSU. So, like, this happens everywhere. And, I mean, and the SEC has cannibalized itself in the portal. So, it's really – don't get me wrong. Of course, these teams are still getting talent out of the portal. But, I don't know, man. It feels like everyone else that gap isn't what it once was, and we know that by just looking at Vanderbilt, right? You could probably argue looking at South Carolina. I mean, look, their team is full of transfers. Who's running the ball for them right now?
That's fair.
When he's healthy, Rocket, I think he's probably one of the top 5, top 4 backs in this conference when he's healthy. So
the O-line, I think the O-line has made a difference as well, which their O-line is not anything to write home about, but at the same time, it's better than what he was dealing with before.
Ole Miss.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, final thoughts on the portal. Ole Miss is a great example of – we talked about that earlier, like what happened between them and Arkansas. And really it started with Lane Kiffin. Let's be real. I mean, when they hired Lane Kiffin, that's when it all began for Ole Miss. Even though Pittman, had kind of held his own against Kiffin. But you could see the difference on the field and what they did in the transfer portal. Look at that defense. That half that defense is portal guys, or a good portion of them are portal guys. Their backups are guys that played at Texas A&M that were high 4 stars. I mean, they're loaded up, and so that's why the SEC is kind of in the situation that it's in. It's cannibalized itself to this point, and so all these other conferences, I think, are starting to catch up. So it's not quite the gap that it once was.
We all want the best team that money can buy. All right. This
Revenue
one
sharing is going to be interesting.
I actually am. I hope that salary cap's it. I am intrigued by this one. 6:45 on SEC Network. Oklahoma and Mizzou. Mizzou is a 2.5-point favorite. Of course, they're at home, so that's probably the only reason they are a favorite in this game, to be honest with you. If Venables can get his shit together, I think that Oklahoma could actually hang in there and possibly get it. What do you think, Tim?
It's another one I'm on the fence about. It comes down to Mizzou and their quarterback health. If he's playing, they have a pretty good shot. If he's not, or if he goes down mid-game, I don't think they have a shot at all. I think Oklahoma takes it.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Brady Cook is questionable this week. He has been practicing, though.
I think I'm going to take OU in this one.
Got it.
With the caveat that could actually probably go either way.
That's fair. I think OU is due one. They need to get something going on to gain some kind of momentum, because pretty much since they've came into the SEC, they've been a punching bag. You know, they were not ready for the SEC. They are what I hoped Texas A&M would have been back in the day. Because I remember I seen an old, those Facebook memories where you see something where your status a long time ago. And I remember looking at one of those, and it said, "I can't wait till the Aggies get here so we can beat the shit out of them every year." And boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. What the hell, man? That did not
age well.
Not what I thought. Ty, where you at on this game, man?
So speaking of, foot and mouth moment, do you guys remember a certain wide receiver from Missouri by the name of Dorial Green Beckham?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He was the number one player in the country, and Bobby Petrino, huh?
He was supposed to come to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, the rumor was he was already a silent commit, and that Missouri dropped the bag at the last second. And I mean, I've talked to media people who were like, "Yeah, no, that was he was a hog," but of course that was all before the blonde and the bike and all that bullshit. But
he dropped the bag before you were allowed to drop the bag, man.
So I had a foot and mouth moment, and this is one of the reasons I regret it. I'll own up to it. I did it. I was pissed. He committed to Missouri. I think he committed to Missouri on signing day. I vaguely remember.
Son of a bitch.
But he committed, and I tweeted at him.
You tweeted at him?
I did. I tweeted at him, "Have fun winning 5 to 6 games a year." What did Arkansas go on to do? Arkansas fires Bobby Petrino. John L. Smith comes in. You won 5 games. You won however many with Brett the year after that. I was because you thought he was a lock. You thought DGB was coming to Arkansas. Yeah. I was so mad. I regret to this day that I ever did. And since then I've never tweeted at a player like that again. And I'm not that DGB saw it or cared, but yeah, you ought to look him up. Anyone watching this, he was a big time player.
Do you remember, speaking on Mizzou stealing recruits, do you remember whenever we thought we were going to get the kid from Clemson, Kelly Bryant, who's probably a fucking used car salesman now?
Yeah.
I was so pissed we didn't get that kid, and he went to Mizzou. And there was another one of our wide receivers that went there. I can't remember his name.
The recruit. Are you talking about
Crutchfield
recruiting?
Recently.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Chad Morris era. We thought we were going to get Kelly Bryant from Clemson, and he went to Mizzou. And then there was an Arkansas wide receiver who transferred to Mizzou as well. And I just remember being like, "You sons of bitches. Like, how dare you?"
How dare you?
It was Kelly Bryant, but I don't remember the wide receiver. Now, of course, the most recent thing, Mizzou really should be a rival because there's some motherfuckers, dude. Like, If you think about it, they've got all these recruits we've dealt with. They beat the shit out of us most of the time. We should all hate them.
I
They beat us like that because we don't care. Because we do not get up for it. In the same way, and I've
should
talked to
get
a
up
bunch
for
of
it.
Texas people this last 3 weeks. A lot of my job is, a lot of my job outside of this is sending me into some calls with people in Texas. And so I've been talking to them about football when we're not talking about alcohol. And it's been interesting how they're like, yeah, Arkansas fans always seem to get up for this. Arkansas teams always seem to get up for Texas. They really want us. And we're like, who cares? You're not OU. You're not A&M. You're kind of the redheaded stepchild of our rivalries, and that's Mizzou. We don't get up for Mizzou. Texas doesn't get up for us. And I don't think we ever will. There's just nothing there. There's no incentive there just because they created a borderline rivalry that nobody believes in. It was the stupidest thing the SEC did.
They just made a trophy for it. John Haas nailed it.
What they should have done was made some kind of Southwest Conference rivalry with Texas A&M, and we could have had LSU and Texas A&M as natural rivals. And left Missouri out of it because there was never any history or anything with Missouri. It should have been Texas A&M the whole time.
Except if you let LSU tell it, they don't give a shit about us either.
They give a shit about that 1,000-pound boot.
Yeah, John Haas said it was Jonathan Nance. He flipped me off at a game in 2019.
Was
Son
Nance.
of a bitch.
It was Nance. That's right.
I hope you work at a car wash, bitch.
Was it Nance? Wasn't he JUCO or something? I do remember him.
He was fast. I remember that. He was a pretty decent wide receiver, but I don't think. Well, it was a Morris offense, so there's that. I mean, I guess who can really blame him at this point, right? All right. So Oklahoma Mizzou, where are you at, Ty?
Oh, yeah, I picked OU, but that's mostly because I don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation at Missouri. Oklahoma has started to play a little bit better brand of ball. Jackson Arnold doesn't turn the ball over a ton. You know, he's only got like 4, maybe 3 picks on the year. He's throwing pretty well, north of 60% completion. You know, I haven't actually looked at his vitals, the PFF stuff, but you know, they're interesting. I'll say that they might be able to make this a game, hang around long enough, and find a way to win it. I picked OU. I don't know. This is almost like a coin flip. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like
whoever.
A pick'em.
It is. I'll stick with OU. Just who knows? Maybe they'll win it. But I would say my confidence would be like maybe a 3, but on a scale of 1 to 10. But I'll stick with OU. I think OU could. I think OU could pull this off. But
I want to say with a potentially unhealthy Brady Cook, I think OU has a decent shot at this.
But their defense isn't terrible. I mean,
defense is the best part of them for sure.
It is. That's their bright spot is their defense. And when they get after you, they can create issues. They can hurry the quarterback up a little bit, and they can force you to turn the ball over a little bit. I haven't looked at all their numbers in a while, but yeah, they can be a problem defensively, but it's that offense is just.
Well, they're missing 5 wide receivers, man. So that ain't helping.
Well, even no, but hold on. Even before all those receivers got hurt, dude, they were struggling. I mean, they have not been good, healthy or not, at wide receiver. And now maybe I'm tripping, and maybe there were some games. Maybe the receivers have missed a lot of times since week 1, but I feel like we didn't start talking about the injuries at the wide receiver spot until like week 4.
Week 3 or 4, yeah.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah,
but
Venables is gonna have to rebuild that damn team like next year, because otherwise he's gonna get replaced. But I don't know, man. Oklahoma and Florida. What do you think as far as like the stature of both places? How fast are they gonna fire somebody? You know, you think Oklahoma fires Venables? Because I don't. I think they're stuck with him. John Hall's actually commented and said that's the funniest thing is they can't afford to get rid of Venables.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. They're locked into him, I think.
there for a while, I believe.
I don't know. You know, OU made that. You know, they fired their coordinator, and then they brought what's the guy? He's got a funny name. Who's going to call plays for him?
Seth Luttrell or the new one?
The new one,
Joe.
It's like Billy Joe John Finland or something. He's got a weird name.
I know he was previously the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State, which is like a no-no. You know, I'm from Oklahoma, and Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, mortal enemies. So it's pull the straight.
Joe John Finley.
What is it?
Say it.
Joe John Finley.
Oh, that's
okay,
crazy,
that's
man.
it. Yeah.
Jimmy Johns.
Yeah. So they fired Luttrell. Getting fired was the right move, and I know they like this. They like Finley. I don't. It feels almost like what Arkansas did last year when they fired Enos. They brought in the receiver coach to be the coordinator. Like maybe it might look good on paper for like a game, and then not so much afterwards. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost like too little, too late. But who knows, man? Again, it's Florida. There's no excuse for Florida to be as bad as they are back-to-back years. Oklahoma, it's a little bit more understandable, right? They're coming into a new conference. Venables is not. You know, I think his buyout, I think it's pretty large. But I'm sure, what's his name? Billy Napier's is pretty high too, I'm sure. But they wouldn't have. Neither school would have a huge issue with trying to get rid of them, of their head coaches, if they really wanted to, if it got really, really, really bad, like OU losing out. I'm sure they'd find a booster or alumni somewhere to help fit the bill, but
Venables
I don't know.
Venables buyout is $44.8 million.
Oh my God!
Do you know how happy I was when I heard Seth Luttrell got fired?
Dude,
Do
he's.
you know why? You know who that guy is?
I've heard that name.
Do you know who the coach of North Texas was when they whooped the Razorbacks' ass?
Was that Luttrell?
Seth Luttrell. Dude, that fake punt, that was his shit.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean? And when I heard he got fired, I was like, praise God. Fuck that guy. Like, I was so happy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Son of a
yeah.
bitch.
That's right. Yeah, he was the North Texas coach for
butthurt,
like
man.
a while. He was there for like a while.
Yeah, I want to say he was there for 5 or 6 years. He was there for a while. And I was actually surprised to see Oklahoma hire him. And I was like, that's a good hire. And then turns out he sucks balls. So I was good with that. Moving on to our game of the week, man. Georgia Ole Miss. I think this game is going to be crazy. And I'm very concerned for Carson Beck because I think he may have a tough game. Because the biggest thing I learned when Ole Miss played Arkansas is that Ole Miss's defense is pretty legit.
Number one sack defense in the SEC.
I mean, we added to that nicely 8.
Yeah, well, that was before us too, so it wasn't like our 8 made them the number one.
Yeah, so their offense obviously is legit. Tim, where are you at on this game, man?
I'm picking Georgia. Again, Ole Miss is the number one offense. I get it. They are wildly talented. They have a great pass rush, but Georgia, the talent level, the coaching, the desire is there with Georgia in a way that most teams wish they could get their players to play week in and week out. And I just feel like they got their wake-up call already this season. Ole Miss is not going to be a wake-up call for Georgia. They've already done that, been there, done that. They've proven that he can be rushed and throw picks, and they can still pull out victories. And I think that continues. I do think Ole Miss gets to Carson Beck multiple times. I think he throws a couple of picks. He's got 11 picks in 6 games. I think they get to him, and he throws some picks. But at the end of the day, Georgia is just built to win. And Ole Miss, I don't think they're quite there yet. Maybe another year, maybe 2 years, but I don't think they are Georgia. That's my opinion.
Also, breaking news, just real quick, guys, since we're live on the air and this is happening right now. Coastal Carolina just beat App State, and their entire field is getting rushed right now. That's crazy. Anyway, so back to it. Sorry, I was watching that.
I will say this too. It was funny. I saw an interview with both coaches, and their approach to this question, I feel like, says something. The interviewer asked Kirby Smart. They said, "So, what's it like to be coaching against someone that you were on the same staff with?" And he was like, "Well, really respect Lane's ability to destroy a defense. His dad was one of the greatest defensive minds in football, in the history of football. And, he sat there with his dad, and there's probably nobody who knows offense better and who can pick apart a defense better than Lane Kiffin." And they asked Lane Kiffin the question, and Lane Kiffin said, "We don't really get into that stuff. It's not me coaching against him. We don't even call our own plays. We have coordinators that call plays, and I think you guys make way too much out of this stuff." I think that Kirby Smart respects Lane Kiffin in a way that Lane Kiffin doesn't necessarily respect Kirby Smart from those comments. Maybe I have it all wrong. But it doesn't sound like he respects him quite the same way that Kirby respects him.
Doesn't Lane Kiffin call the actual calls at Ole Miss?
That was Lane Kiffin's comment. He said, we have coordinators that are the main play callers.
I don't even know who their OC is. Ty, do you know who Ole Miss OC is?
Shit. Not off the top of my head.
Nailed it. All right.
Not off the top of my head. We may have to do these at
Charlie Weiss Jr.
That's right. Fuck, I knew that.
Who is it?
Charlie White's Jr.
Okay, I don't know who the fuck that is. Anyway, Ty's about to fall asleep. I'm tell you what, I don't know if it's because we're fresh off an ass whooping from them, if I got too much faith in them. I don't know what it is, man. I'm going Ole Miss, boys. I don't know. Ty, where you at, buddy?
I kind of like what Tim said about Georgia's. This isn't really a wake-up call for them. I think that's probably pretty accurate. I mean, they had their wake-up game. I agree. Alabama, when they lost that. Carson Beck, one of the interesting things about their offensive line, he has thrown a lot of picks, and I think his pressure numbers are way down. In fact, I think they're really bad last I looked. But he's only been sacked 11 times this year, which isn't a ton. It's not a great number, but it's also it's probably about average, right? Georgia's got talent on the offensive line. I mean, that's really where this battle is happening is it's at the line of scrimmage. And if Georgia can establish a run game, if they can, get Ole Miss to buy in and stack the box and, try to create some havoc and slow down Georgia's run game, and it's not like they run the ball great. I mean, they do average close to about 5 yards a carry as a team. I think they have right over 1,000 yards rushing on the year, but they've had it's been a weird year for Georgia. We were down on them, if you guys recall, when they did lose to Alabama. And then they didn't look super great against Auburn, even though they did win 31-13. But it all kind of like that narrative changed when they went to Texas, and everyone was talking about how Texas was going to smoke this Georgia team that's not the same. And in fact, it was the opposite. Georgia won that game 30-15, and probably could have put some more points up earlier in that game. So they kind of changed the narrative a little bit, and it's made us question Texas because they were number one in the country at the time. Texas had taken the number one spot, and Georgia walked down there and took care of business. I think what happened against Bama and Kentucky, by the way, they look like pure shit against Kentucky. That's fair. That was at Kentucky. But since the Alabama game, I think Kirby Smart is he's over it. We're not losing again. So I think they win out. Now they still got Tennessee. That Massachusetts game, I'll tell you what, Massachusetts going to be tough. But
you know what I will say? That my biggest concern.
Hey, they scored on Mississippi State.
Hey, Trey Harris
Hey.
is listed as doubtful this week. That's like one of the bigger concerns for a team like Georgia. Trey Harris was out against Arkansas, but it didn't matter at all. But also the kid that scored, how many, was it 3 or 4 touchdowns? Watkins? He's questionable as well. So I don't know what happened to him in practice because I know he didn't get hurt in our game. So
Their injury list is Ole Miss's injury list is like a mile long, isn't it?
You think Kiffin's just being a dick? He's like, maybe everybody's hurt. I don't know.
Probably. That's very true.
Call it a fake injury now.
You think he's just mad? Yeah, you think he's just mad about it? I mean, that's kind of a great idea. Kiffin's sharp, man. He's
Okay. I kind of think you guys were talking earlier about, and I know we're trying to wrap this up, but you guys were talking about him running up the score on Arkansas. I kind of wonder did Sam complain to Lane or about Lane Kiffin? Like, is this where this began? Maybe Sam started this whole thing with the NCAA or with the SEC front office. Maybe he wrote some kind of, pissy letter, or maybe he said something and we just didn't catch it. And it got back to Lane Kiffin. And because if you remember, the SEC put out that statement 2 days before Arkansas played Ole Miss. And they put out that statement saying that, if you do this, whatever, faking injuries, we're going to review them. Something was weird about that, and the timing of that. And then for him to come out and just, he wouldn't pull his starters. He left his star quarterback in to the beginning of the fourth quarter with a huge lead. The biggest no-nos in, college football, football 101 period. You don't keep your starter in. You don't keep your ones in. You've already got your star wide receiver, dressed out but not playing. What are you doing? I kind of wonder if maybe Pittman started the whole thing about the feigning injuries or I don't know, maybe it was him and several other coaches.
There's been some.
I just thought that was.
It was probably several coaches, to be honest, because if you look at the history of Ole Miss fake injuries, they went back games. They were by far the worst. It wasn't even close.
Oh, they caught him on camera pointing to the turf. I mean, you had Jackson Dart.
He pulled his mask down and said, "Get down!" Like we see you, dude.
I kind of wonder if maybe that's conspiracy. I don't know, but I kind of wonder. Lane Kiffin is a bit of a douche. I get it, but I don't know. That's something about that. I was thinking about that after I was done with the post game. I was like, man, I should have brought that up because it was just strange. Because I don't know that he normally would have done that, even though he is a douche and he is kind of an asshat on Twitter and all that. I've seen them beat the snot out of teams. But not run the score up and leave their ones in. So I don't know if maybe it's for the playoffs. Maybe he was thinking bigger picture, like, now we need to rack up points, in order to if we want a shot at the playoffs, we need to have some meaningful, a lot of points against SEC opponents. And why not this one at Fayetteville, at Arkansas? Look what we did. We hammered them in their own backyard.
I wonder how much he was comparing it to Tennessee. Like, look at Tennessee getting their ass kicked here, and me coming here and just fucking them up. Like, you know what I mean? It's certainly possible that I feel like that was in his mind. Yeah, the playoffs, probably so. I mean, look at what he did. He embarrassed Arkansas. So, that's a powerful win, especially when we have a win over someone who's already in the playoff already. So maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know. Long story short, boys, I got to piss. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Hey, real quick. There's not any meaningful games, but welcome back SEC basketball also. Look forward to talking about that in the future.
I'm excited. Yeah, we're doing basketball, football. We might dabble in a little baseball. We'll see. I don't know. Learning every SEC team's baseball situations a lot. I'm actually really familiar with the ones I don't like. So we'll see what happens.
I say all that because there are some meaningful games coming up Saturday. Tennessee, Louisville, Baylor, Arkansas. Number 8, Baylor, number 16, Arkansas. Number 11, Auburn versus number 4, Houston. Those games are coming up on Saturday. So there's not just big football games. There's big basketball games as well.
We're going to have to line out some game
talking about those
boys.
next week.
Yes, sir. Ty, you guys got anything else, man?
No, I don't have any shows planned for the rest of the week. I'm gonna kind of go on a sabbatical here for the next couple of days, get caught up on sleep, and then Saturday I'll be back for the post game show and get ready to rock and roll for some more basketball. Arkansas and Baylor Saturday night, so that'll be interesting. I haven't put my predictions up yet for that. Should we? I mean, really quick, do we want to make that pick really fast, without any
Baylor?
in depth? Just pick it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm a home.
Baylor. Yes, you are
I don't know
home.
shit about shit. So how is Baylor this year? What is their rank?
I mean, everybody's played one game.
Yeah, it's just one game, but their one game was against
rank.
top 8th, I think.
They're 8. They're 8
Okay,
right
but
now. We're 16.
Right.
Again, that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Arkansas.
Yeah. They lost to Gonzaga. They lost to Gonzaga 101-63.
I'm going Razorbacks. I am.
Travis is like, I am very confident now.
Just say it. I feel a little better about that. Our offense looked rough the other day. Since we're gonna get into this thing, I'm just gonna piss on my pants. It's fine.
My bad. This is my.
Arkansas couldn't shoot a 3. Arkansas couldn't.
I
shoot
wasn't
a
asking.
Arkansas had rough offense, man, but they ended up getting it together. I texted you guys the other day. I said they tend to thrive in chaos. I think this will be a chaotic game. I think Baylor's gonna come with it. I think it's gonna be tough as shit. I got Arkansas. Timmy?
I don't have a lot to go on.
I don't either.
I don't have a lot to go on, but I think this one's at Arkansas, right?
It's at Arkansas?
No.
Sorry, it's at Baylor.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm actually going to
neutral
go
site?
with Baylor on this one just because I don't think we're firing on all cylinders yet at Arkansas. So I'm going to go with Baylor. I don't think it's going to be indicative of our season, but I do think it's probably early for us based on the way our offense was playing, and our defense got lost in the first half several times. We did get better in the second half of our last game, but I think we've still got some growing pains. So I'm going to say Baylor, unfortunately.
Nah, bro, they're
I
playing
hope I'm
Baylor.
wrong. I just
at
hope
Arkansas.
I'm wrong.
Oh, wait. Where are they playing at? American Airlines Center. Where is that at? Is this a neutral game?
It's Dallas, Texas. It's in Dallas.
Okay, it's Baylor.
It's the Dallas Mavericks,
Yep.
Jim.
I think this is a tough one. Is why I asked, but I think without going into too much depth, that I kind of wonder if Cal, because the 3-point shooting has been abysmal. I mean, for their 2 exhibition games and then now their 1 game against Lipscomb, they're shooting really bad outside. Their perimeter offense is not good. However, Baylor got smoked, and I wonder if they're pissed. And if that's the case, they're going to come in firing on all cylinders, and Arkansas maybe doesn't. I think I'm going to go Baylor. I mean, I hate to do that, but I think it's going to be Baylor.
You guys aren't real fans.
Who knows, right? I mean, kind of to Tim's point. To Tim's point, it's really early in the year, but it is Arkansas Baylor.
Yeah.
Like this is a pretty big game. So potential.
I could see them losing. I could see them losing for sure. I could also see them winning because Cal is going to have tape on the last game and be able to have teachable moments from each shitty situation we put ourselves in. So that's, I guess, the thing for me.
They played like shit against Lipscomb and still almost won by 20 points. And by the way, Lipscomb right now is, according to Lenardi, he has them in the tournament.
Yeah.
So they're a legitimate – I mean, I think they are a legitimate tournament team. Number 41 for them, that dude's a baller. And Arkansas did manage to kind of contain him. So defensively, I think they might have the pieces. I think defensively they might be there. But, again, their perimeter offense – hell, their perimeter defense was probably the weakest part of their defense. But, yeah, maybe Cal, he's got some film against a quality opponent. Maybe they'll learn something and take it to Baylor.
I think so. I like it. All right, boys. Well, we gonna get out of here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Seriously, commenting, liking, subscribing, all that shit. We need to keep building this, man. So share these videos, even if they watch them after. It's all good. Other than that,
We promise they won't age well.
they won't age well at all. Tim and Tyler's predictions are gonna be trash. I'm gonna be right on Monday because the Hogs win all the time.
By 90.
See y'all.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See ya.